CAC Men's Monday. Set your week up for purpose.
Good morning, CAC men. I hope you had an awesome Father's Day yesterday. For those that are fathers, happy Father's Day. We're truly blessed by your godly leadership and desire to see only the best that God has for your families, and I'm so thankful and grateful for that. 2020 has been a really challenging year for us, and it's pressed us to a lot of extremes that we've not ever witnessed or seen before. And it's the main purpose and reason behind this Bible study. And I've been praying about this, and I want to convey to you just for the next few minutes something that God has laid upon my heart. Before we do, I want to offer a book recommendation here in just a moment. So let me grab that book and we'll get started. So the book that I want to recommend today, it was given to me by a friend, and I found it very insightful and engaging in a lot of different elements of daily life and living. The book is called The Fred Factor. It's written by a man named Mark Sanborn, and it's written about a man whose name is Fred. And the premise of this story is about this man who, through the passion of his work, would develop relationships with those that he served. And this book simply provides those simple steps each of us can take that will transform our lives from ordinary into extraordinary. So how can we go out of our way at times to really make things extraordinary for those around us? Incredible, very easy, as you can see. It's not very thick, so easy read. And something that hopefully you can be encouraged by and get glean some good information and learn something from that book. So today I want to talk about the resilient man. What does the Bible say about resilience? You see, resilience, if we were to define it, is the quality of being able to adapt to stressful life changes and bouncing back from hardship. Resilience is a response to tragedy, crisis, or other life-altering changes that allows us to move on despite the loss. This is how it's defined specifically from a dictionary point of view. So the ability to bounce back. And when you show resilience, it doesn't mean that you're unaffected or uncaring about the change, but it's something that gives you the ability to bounce forward and bounce back from so that it doesn't consume you. You see, resilience is the human heart's ability to suffer greatly, but to grow from it. So it mingles both the suffering aspect as well as the growth aspect. And so for the next just few minutes, I want to talk to you from a biblical standpoint. What does the Bible say about resilience? We see examples of national resilience, such as in 2011, on September 11th, the whole nation, as we just heard this weekend, we showed a bouncing back after the events of September 11th. We observe personal resilience every day in people who suffer from handicaps or death of loved ones or other types of losses, serious losses. And when people refuse to give up on themselves and the world, even after this misfortune, then they are being resilient. They are showing forth a resilience. And resilience is a normal biblical character of Christians that we find in the Bible. It contains many admonitions for us to press on, like Philippians 3:13 through 15. So forgetting those things which are behind, and I press towards the mark. It talks about overcoming hardships and temptations in Romans chapter 12 and 21. Be not overcome of evil, but overcome evil with good. And perseverance in the face of trials that we find in James 1 and 12. Just blessed is the man that endureth temptation, for when he is tried, he shall receive the crown of life. It also gives us numerous examples of people who greatly suffer, or suffer greatly, but continue to follow the plan for their life. In Proverbs 24, it could be seen as a theme verse, if you will, of resilience. And it says, though the righteous shall fall 7 times, they shall rise again, but the wicked stumble when calamity strikes. You see, Paul showed great resilience after his life-altering encounter with Jesus in Acts chapter 9. He was transformed from a religious Pharisee to a radical Christian, and many were not happy with his message. He was beaten, stoned, criticized, jailed, and nearly killed many times, and he writes this in 2 Corinthians chapter 11. You see, it was one incident that especially showed his exceptional resilience. In Lystra in Asia Minor, he was stoned, he was drug out of the town and left for dead. But when his enemies left, Paul simply got up and went back into the city. In Acts chapter 14 and verse 19 through 20, we read about this. His missionary endeavors continued unabated, and you see, godly resilience enables us to be undeterred from our mission, regardless of the opposition. In the Old Testament, Job demonstrated great resilience. God honored him for it. See, after losing everything, Job was in great agony of soul and body, yet he refused to curse the Lord or to give up on God. He would write in Job chapter 1, "In all this, Job did not sin by charging God with wrongdoing." And later, when the suffering intensified and Job's wife counseled him to curse God and die, in Job 2 and 9, God wouldn't even consider a thing. Despite all of his suffering, despite all of what was taking place in his life and his family, Job knew that God was in control. And that knowledge helped him maintain resilience instead of giving in to defeat. His faith resulted in resiliency. There is one enemy of resilience, which is an incorrect assumption that we know how things will end. You see, when a situation seems out of control or does not appear to be headed in the right direction, a lot of times we tend to write the end over the story. We think we know the final result, so instead of exercising resilience, we give up or we take matters into our own hands, which is one of the most detrimental things to do. Proverbs chapter 3 and verse 5 is a good passage to just really cling to when we can see, only disaster ahead, when we realize that up ahead of us the road is just going to be rough. And that is simply trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not to your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your paths. You see, choosing to trust in the Lord rather than rely on what we understand is the best way to stay resilient. The believer in Jesus Christ is upheld by God's power, and so we naturally, by that power, can be resilient. Paul would write to the church in Corinth, "We're hard-pressed on every side, but not crushed, perplexed, but not in despair, persecuted, but not abandoned, struck down, but not destroyed," in 2 Corinthians chapter 4. You see, Christians keep bouncing back, and the key to resiliency is faith in the Lord. The Bible would tell us the Lord makes firm the steps of the one who delights in him. Though he may stumble, he will not fall, for the Lord upholds him with his hand, in Psalms 37, verses 23 through 24. I've learned through tough times to really trust in God. Though it's not easy at times, we could easily ask, and I have found myself at times, I could easily ask why things are happening the way they're happening. But I learned and I listened to wise words. And when things are going tough, rather than asking why, ask, what do you, God, want me to learn? What is it that you want me to learn through this situation? Because it's what you learn from the tough times that will enable you to be strong and to show forth the praises of him and become a testimony to this world, especially when people know that you're going through something, but to them it seems like it doesn't even faze you. I pray today that you can glean something from this Bible study, that no matter what you may face in life, no matter what you may come your way, because we will have things that will come our way, but that you will be able to glean something from this just simple message to be resilient, bounce back, allow for the strength of God to be your guide, allow for it to be your undergirding, to move you and allow for you to press forward, learning and growing and strengthening your testimony in the name of Jesus. I thank God every day for our men. You show forth just wonderful praises, and I thank you for everything that you're doing. Please let this week be an awesome week, and we'll see you this week. God bless you. Thank you for taking a moment to be with us this morning. All right. God bless.